Hi, I'm Lars. Welcome back to the shop. Today we're doing three things. One, we're creating a jig for wood rounds. Two, I'm going to be going through some Fusion 360 to show you how to set up a drawing with the jig in it and the circle for the wood round so it can become a repeatable process. And the third thing is we're going to cut this wood round out on a CNC machine, and then there's one thing we're going to burn with the laser. Susan just got an XTool S1. The thing's really quick, and she's videotaping the unboxing of it right now, so that video is going to be coming out here soon, and we're going to take some excerpts from it of this burn, and it's going to be at the end of this video. Let's get to it. In order to cut out this piece of wood, this is going to be a rough cut on this piece of plywood. Again, this is the same plywood that I just cut out the jig in the last video for the lanterns when I made that jig. Same piece of plywood, but this one here I'm going to cut at 20 inches wide. So I'm going to put a little mark here at 20 inches, and if you remember from the last video, the distance from this edge to the other side of my blade here, this side of the blade, from here to here, is 4 1/8 inch. So I'll mark this at 24 1/8 on this side and on this side. And I'm using my clamp and tool guide. Like I said, I don't use this that often, even though the last two videos I did use it. But, you know, it's what it is. It is what it is. And then I'm going to push it out a little bit, like maybe another 1/4 inch or so, and I'm going to clamp it down. Now that's not going to move. I want to make sure that my distance here is the same on each side. I don't want to cut it crooked. So 24 3/8 and 24 3/8. So now when I cut this out, then I have a little bit of room that I can make it true on the table saw. So before I cut this, I want to make sure that my blade on here is only going to barely go past the plywood. So the way we do this, we pull the guard up, set this down, and just, you can do this with your fingers as there's battery on it, or it's unplugged if you don't have one that's battery operated, and make sure that your blade's barely passing the plywood. The reason I'm saying that, I'm cutting this across my table saw here. I've got nothing standing up, blade's not up, everything's clear. But if I was to cut this like 1 inch down below here, or 1.5 inches, I could cut my table saw, which should not be good. Second thing you want to do is you want to check underneath the board, make sure you got a clean shot to the other side. And I do, because I don't want to run into anything, because that would be bad. So this piece of wood is going to end up being 20 by 20. So I need my Beisemeyer fence. If you're wondering, yes, there is a video out here on how to build one of these guys. They're a lot of fun to build. Took me about, I don't know, a week to put it together. But very well worth it, and all the links on where to get the parts. And if you go look at Ask Woodman, that's where I got the idea, and that's where I bought the tee off of on Very Super Cool Tools. So I'm going to get this here cut. Now we get to go play with the CNC. So in order to get this thing squared up, you take your square on the side, and I've got my fasteners through my spoil board into my actual table. Yeah, it should. And that should keep it going from going anywhere. being that it's held down. So now all I need to do is probe off of this corner and then get this thing started, and we'll cut out the square out of it, and then after that we should have a perfectly 90-degree squared piece of material. So now this is the zero of my work setting. Go to work origin, and I can zero everything out. Rewind, select start. Let's see what this thing does. Now we got a square. Once I get it sanded down a little bit and maybe some flattened out, now we got this nice looking square, and you're probably asking, what am I going to do with it? And I'll show you. So you may be wondering why I've created this square jig. This little, well, it's not square, it's a square, but it is a jig. Why do I have this big L jig laying on my table? Well, the main reason is because I want to start doing some of these. All right. Call me lazy, call me whatever, but this is going to be a jig for my rounds. Yeah, I could take a square and I could put it on here and draw some lines and try to figure out where the center is. Will it be the center? I don't know. It might be close, might not be the exact center. But if these are all cut out with the CNC machine, which I'm assuming they are, they seem to, the ones that I've bought all seem to be 15 inches across, and this little ridge from this side to this side, they all seem to be 14 3/8. So my thought was, if I build the square and I can pick the side out that I want, you know, it doesn't really matter on this one, they both look pretty good. I can put a piece of double stick tape at the top and a piece of double stick tape at the bottom. And then I can take it and line it up pretty well, bring it down to the edge, bring it over the edge on this side, and stick it down. Now, the theory is, in my head, is that I can take this probe and I can probe off this corner, and I can probe off of that. You know, this is the X and Y probe, so I can find out where X and Y is, so I know where the tip of this point is to the center of the bit. So the center of the bit would be right there on that edge. That's why you have to put your diameter in. And then you flip this over this way and you get the Z off of this. This is lower, so I'm not really worried about it, you know, getting hit or anything. And then I have my X, Y, and my Z. Now, in my program, my drawing that I'm doing, I'm going to create a box, a square, that is the same distance as this. For mine, I've got 16 inches inside, I've got 18 on the outside, and it's 2 inches wide. You can make yours any size you want. With the 16 inches on the inside, theoretically, I could put a 32-inch round in here, because from this edge inside to here is 7.5 inches where this is actually touching. And again, it's a wood project. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. We all like to be perfect. We're all perfectionists. You know, that's why we got CNC machines. But the thought behind this is, like I said, this point knows where this point is. This is the center, okay, is what I'm pointing at. Now I can put anything I want on here, and I should be able to pry this back up, go get another one, put some tape on it, lay it in, get it centered where I want, and boom, and I'm off to the races with the next one. And I should be able to start mass producing these. Now, I will let you know if I can, but right now let's go inside and I'll show you what I'm doing for the drawing, and we'll see if this works. Alright, so in order to start something out here in Fusion, you need to create a sketch. Go to the x-axis is where I always put mine, and I'm going to have to draw a rectangle. And remember, the size of my square is 18 by 18 on the outside side. And screws this down a little bit, and then go to here. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to what's called extruding. So we're going to extrude this up. So now I've got a square. I can right click on this and I can say extrude again, or you can click the letter E. And this one we're going to have to select the profile again, and this is going to be negative 0.718, and that's going to end up being a cut. And as you can see, now we have our beautiful little square. So this becomes part of my my drawing. So now I need to figure out another sketch to do, and we're going to put this on the X plane. And I'm going to put a circle out here, and I'm not going to really put it anywhere. I'm just going to say it's 15 inches wide. I'm going to drag it around a little bit. So let's kind of tilt this guy up like that a little bit, make it straight as we can. So I'm going to make a square off of this, and the square is going to be 7.5, and the other side is going to be 7.5. The reason I picked this is because this is half of 15, so that's the radius, so that should come right out to the edge and the edge of here. And now if I use this coincident, I can say that circle and the circle right here need to go together. And now that is perfect where I want it. I believe that will work. Right click on this, and I want to go to extrude. And I know this here is 1 inch thick, so I'm going to put a 1. And it's going to become a new body, and that's going to be okay. Now you can see this is going to be taller than the edge. I'd like to put a circle in the middle of this. I'm going to put another sketch on here. I'm going to put a circle, but I'm going to highlight the sketch below it so I can see the center, and that's where I want my circle to be, is like that. And this is going to be 14.375, or I could have said 14 plus 3 divided by 8. And it would do the math for me. That's another thing I like about Fusion, is it does all your math for you. So I could have added this to another side or done whatever I wanted. Then we're going to finish the sketch. I'll tilt this up a little bit, and I'm going to put a fillet on it. So here's my fillet. I'm going to touch the side here, and I'm just going to take a wild guess here. I'm going to say this is about 0.25. And the fillet is just a little rounded edge, and it will put it on both sides since I clicked the side. So that is not enough, so let's start climbing this up, like 0.29. That's close. 3.1. Oh, I think that's it. Yeah, 3.1 should be it. So let's hit OK. And now we have something that looks like one of our wood rounds that I bought over at Menards. Alright, let's go back to home. Bring this around like this. Let me click top, get it squared off. So in order to cut this out, we need something to actually cut out. So let me go into the middle ring, and we're going to edit this sketch, and we're going to add some text here. So I'm going to put some text in this area right here like this. That looks good. And we're going to put my last name in here, Thurman, all in caps, and you got to see how tall we can make it. Going to do it bold. Arial seems good. Maybe make this like 2 inches tall.
Might be a little big, but let's kind of center that up, lower it down. We go like 1.75. That looks pretty good. And again, looks a little bit off, so I'm going to move this corner out. Maybe. Alright, so let's just hit this in here and then we'll move it. There we go. So I think that looks pretty good. It's just above the the center of the line here, which I think I can rotate this up and put this like this, and that shows you where it should end up at, about like that. Alright, so let's put another piece of text here at the bottom and make sure you don't hit that line, about like that. And I'm going to put in here EST 2001, about an inch looks good, and hit OK, and then I'm going to center that guy up some. I think that looks pretty good. Probably could put let's create a construction line here. Let's take this thing straight down. Just take it off, as far out of here as we can. Let's go like that, and then come over here and make this 90 degrees. And then we can center this up on that line. So by putting that dot on there. Like that. And center this the same way. Okay, so now this is centered on the board. Now I need to do an insert of a DXF. And I need to find the file. It's going to be locally on my machine. Engrave B. Alright, so that just happened to go where I want it. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. In order to do this, you might have to adjust the units or whatnot. And then your X distance and Y distance, you might have to adjust this too. So that looks like that went down, so let's go up with it. So let's go negative a half inch, maybe negative 0.25. Yeah, and that would work. So that's what I'm trying to get to. And then we're going to cut this out. And in order to cut these out, in Fusion you need to tell them how deep you want to go. So this guy, the first one that we're on here, I'm just going to hit E for extrude. And we have got to go in and select all of these guys. Like this. Once I'm going to get all these selected, I'm going to go down about negative 0.02. And then what that'll do is that'll show me my cut that's going to happen here, which looks pretty good. So now I need to do the same thing for Foreman. So we're going to show the middle ring. We're going to edit that again. And we're going to select the T. First thing we need to do with both of these, we need to explode the text. So let me explode the text on the established also. Explode the text down there. And then you need to select each letter. Well, select a letter, hit E, and then start adding the rest of the letters that you're going to put into here. Like that. And then this one here we're going to go down minus 0.3, and that's going to get cut. Then we need to edit this again. Let's get this up, and we need to select these guys down here now. And these guys are going to go down minus 0.02. And then when we look at this, you'll see the cut that's going to be made. And then we can save this off. And then go to manufacturer, and we can cut these things out. So let me put this back to top, back out on this and bring it down here. Get your setup done. Model. And then the stock. We're going to fix size 18 by 18, 1 inch tall. Oops, one thing I forgot. Back here is my work plane, box point, and I always start my stuff off from this top corner right here. Now you're going to notice something on these, that this here is higher because that's how thick my piece of work is. This is actually 3/4, this is 1 inch thick. So this is why this is really important. Otherwise I will dig into my stock further than I want. First thing I want to do is I want to do a contour cut. So this tool here will be a 1/8 inch bit. It's number 3 that I use. And I got to go through and I got to grab all these little pockets here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to grab the bottom of these guys. I don't really want the whole, yeah. So you'll see a black line will light up on the bottom. And that's what I'm trying to get. Because I want these to be very square as the path. I don't want a V-bit on these. There we are. So I want that bottom path. I don't want that top path. Otherwise, we are not going to carve anything. And then you can see the heights on this to show you that the blue line, which is my 0, is the top of that round. Then I can go to amount of passes I want to do, which 1 pass should be just fine. I don't need any roughing passes. I don't need multiple depths. Linkage, a lead in. I don't really need a lead in, and I don't need a lead out. Allow rapid retract is fine, and then let's hit this. And then you'll be able to see through Fusion 360, you can simulate this. You can see how it's going to cut. And then the nice thing is you can zoom in pretty daggone close and see exactly what was cut, where it was cut. You can see that these are not going really big. They're just going to around the circle kind of deal. So, and it tells you your entire path. So now we're going to carve out the name, and both of these guys are going to be put in with a 1/2 inch 45. So that's basically a 90 degree. It's 90 degrees up. The angle from here, this line is 45 degrees. So a lot of companies name these at a taper of 45. Okay, so we're going to select the geometry, and your geometry is going to be pretty much the same as you selected with the B. You're just going to go in and select, but you need to get these inner walls. And as you can see, there's a line on the inside, and there's also going to be a line on the outside of the inner wall. So let's just grab all the Foreman, and then you'll be able to see how it's going to cut. So if you're getting like weird things at the edge here, that means that you didn't go down deep enough for the bit that you're using. So there's the Foreman. We're going to name this one here Step 2, 1/2 inch 45 E-bit engrave. This one we're going to name Step 1, and this is a 2D contour, and I'll make that 1-8 for 1/8 inch bit. The naming things like this really helps me later on. Reason is sometimes you'll put these together and it may be a couple weeks before you get out to do it, and then you're kind of like, what did I do? You got to go back in your Then you have to come back to your software and look at this and figure out what you're doing. Fusion 360 actually has a sheet you can print out, but then you lose the sheet. So if these are part of your file name, they kind of make your life a lot easier. At least that's my opinion. That's the way that I work. This is going to be also the 1/2 inch 45 chamfer bit, and I'll have a video coming up sometime in the near future. I've got a lot of stuff going on. Sometime in the near future about the depths and about how this V-bit here, I can use the exact same V-bit here. I don't need to go down to a 1/4 inch unless the width of this is so tiny that the 45 is not going to work for me. Alright, but for what I'm doing, the 1/2 inch bit will be just fine. So we're going to use the same bit, and my geometry is going to be just like I did above. I'm going to grab 2001 like that and get the inside pieces, and then the E in that inside piece, and the S and the T. Nothing else here is really needed. We don't need any more passes. We don't need anything else. So just hit OK, and then I will name this guy here step 3, and this is just to keep my brain straight. That's really all it is. And if you guys can name your stuff whatever you want. Now let's back out on this and let's hit the simulator. Let's hit simulation. Gotta select all 3 of these. Well, you can select one. It'll just do one. Let's go to here. I'm going to tilt it just a teeny bit. This is kind of cool to see. Alright, so you can see that in the simulator it looks like it's carved everything out the way that I wanted it to. There we go. So it looks like it's carved out, pretty much the way I wanted it to. The real test, there's always going to be a test, and that's going to be in the once you cut the wood. So I highly recommend cutting these things out on a scrap piece first. And if you did your due diligence and everything is working and you're using this point here as your 0 point, then it doesn't matter the thickness of the wood that you put in here. So I can literally go outside with a piece of MDF, and I can put a piece of MDF in place of the round, and I will be able to cut this out. Alright, so at this point the only thing to do is to go through here and hit these guys one at a time and generate your code. So let's get this done, and again I'm going to name these guys. Go to the video folder. I'm going to name these guys exactly what they are here. This is step 1, 1-8, and another hyphen in there. And this is my 2D contour. Now you could name these things B path or whatever. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. I don't. I probably should. There's also with the 1-8, I think I'm going to move that to my actual tool number. To like, this would be a 3, this would be a 30. Since you need to keep these things in line anyway, but it's also good not to do that, because the more details you can put down on one of these things, on a file name, the more that you're going to have the ability to know what they are. Now, yeah, like I said, you could put down here B path or whatever, but once you plug this into the machine, it's going to come up and show you what it's doing. The main thing you need to know is what's the bit that you need to have. And yeah, and I'm going to show this here in a second. A lot of people are going to say, well, it tells you what the bit is right here. And that's true. I mean, it's 100% true. But then you got to go out to the machine and load it up, or you got to try to get to the code. This way here I can just look at my files. So, all right. So let's get moving out to the shop.
Okay, so what I need to do right now is, being that this is the jig that I'm using, Okay, this is all about this jig. Remember, this video is about this jig. I'm going to measure back here, and I've got 9 7/16 on this side to this line, and 9 7/16 on this side. Is what I'm thinking I need to do. 9 7/16 there, and 9 7/16 here. So I'm going to tape this down, so I need to put a little mark on this side on like this, and I'm going to need to put a little mark on the other side. So it needs to be a mark on each side, so that when I flip this over to tape this, put tape on it, I can flip it back over and put it right where I need it. Okay, so we'll lay this back on that dot on this side. And let's make sure we're going to hit the one on that side. And that looks pretty good. Push that down. Hopefully it doesn't move. This also has a piece of clear vinyl transfer tape on top of it. We don't know if this is going to pull off or not, so it's kind of a big test for doing this for us. And the reason is once we engrave into this, what we're going to engrave is the B trail, the established 2001, and our name, our last name. Then we're going to try to paint this with white and the stuff down here in black. And then right here we will take it into the laser machine. I think it's going to be the F1 we're going to use, and we'll laser the B onto it. We tried a test cut and it didn't come out right. It just didn't look right. And I'll throw a picture in here so you'll be able to see the test cut. Okay, so the point of this jig is to make this the X, right here, the X and Y point. So let me get this down here. And we're going to go off for this corner. Hopefully I went far enough forward to catch the edge of this. There we go. Okay, so now I have not had to find the center point up here, because the entire jig and the drawings that I've done have this inside of this round here, this point. Now I can raise this up, move it out here into the field of where I want to cut, and I can just take the Z from that, and we can start carving now. .1/8 inch downward cut bit for the B trail, and this one's going to be a 1/4 shaft with a 1/2 inch 90-degree V-bit. And whenever you're changing out a bit, never go back and do the X and Y again. but you definitely need to re-Z. It's up here. I'm going to reload my file, or load another file right now. Sounds better. That's going to be right on the edge. Same bit, same 1/4 inch shaft, 1/2 inch, 90-degree V-bit. Anywho, that is what it looks like right now. So let me back this out some. There you go. So Foreman with the little B tail, there'll be a B here in a little bit, and it says established 2001. So when I'm doing woodworking, I tend to build a lot of jigs, and I think that anyone that actually does woodworking, whether it be framing or doing master carpentry work, like, you know, trim work or building furniture or whatever, they tend to build jigs. And if you're not building jigs, try it out. It actually works out really well. It's not something that's just for reproduction, you know, like the reason I made this, so I can make a round and then put another round in and put another round in, and all I've got is my X and Y is this corner here, and my program that I drew up for this, all I need to do now is just Z off the top of the next round that comes in, because the X and Y, the center of it, I'm taking off this corner. Just like the other jig I did for the cedar lanterns, okay? That's the same kind of deal. You probe off one corner and then you just start laying pieces in. That's how jigs work. And when I was doing this, I actually came up with another idea for jig, which will probably be a couple videos down the way. But for now, what I need to do is I need to get that round over to Susan so she can laser the B to put on it. I don't know exactly what she's doing with it, but I'm sure it will be interesting. And I know she's working on another video, and she's going to have all that information in it. So this is going to be like an excerpt from that video, just from seeing the carving that's going on. If you want to have more information of how to do it in XCS, then watch that next video. All right?
We're going to hit the button on the front, and it should get started. One thing to note, this protective shield is here for a reason. It has a nice open viewing area so you can watch what's going on when it's engraving or it's cutting or scoring, but you don't need goggles to do that. That's why the coloration of it and why it is the way it is. Now, if this is open, it will not run, because at that point in time you would need goggles, and this is just a safety feature that the S1 has. Now the S1 is beginning its cut. boy, it's now starting to cut, and boy, is that fast. As you notice, there's a lot more smoke involved with cutting than there is engraving, and that's why I have the air assist on maximum to help get rid of that smoke and help to prevent the burn, the scorch that you will see on the wood sometimes when you're cutting. Boy, is this thing fast. And it is done. I'm going to leave it run for a little bit just to help get rid of some of the excess smoke on there. This thing was completed in 10 minutes and 43 seconds. That's the engrave and the cut. I'm going to take the air assist and turn it off so we don't have to listen to that. And I'm going to lift the lid, and let's take a look at how this turned out. Look at that cut. Can you see that? That is beautiful. Now you'll see some of the wood graining coming through on it, but it did a really nice cut. You can see the edges are a little dark, but we'll be able to wipe that off with a little bit of alcohol to clean that up. But that is one beautiful engrave and cut, and that is done on the S1.
I know that was a really long video, but I think that it was necessary to show the cutting of the jig, the setting everything up in Fusion 360, the cutting of the wood round to show you that the jig actually works, and the burning of the bee on the S1. So the outcome from that is this. Okay? This is not secured yet, but you guys get the idea. I think it came out looking really good. It really shows you how you can take a CNC and a laser and combine those two skill sets and create something that is really good. If you saw in the video, the carving that I did, the engraving of the bee just didn't look right. Susan had the idea of burning it, and she was like, yeah, let's try this out. We did a quick test run with the F1 because she didn't have the S1 yet, but it looked pretty good. Remember, there is another video that's coming out. It's the unboxing of the S1 and everything that comes in it. And it's also going to have the full version of the burning of the bee, like how to set it up in XCS, how to get it transferred to the S1, and all that. There's more videos coming out. There's more laser videos coming out, more CNC videos, more woodworking videos that are coming to this channel. I've got a whole list of things that are just going to load the entire summer up, and probably into the fall and into the winter. If you like this kind of channel, if you like this sort of stuff, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. It will help us out immensely with YouTube. You're always welcome back in the shop, and as always, have a nice day.